and we get this really great offer. And I didn't think real estate agents mattered very much. Like anybody with a pulse could sell or not sell this house, not that big a deal.
Hey guys, welcome to the real estate show this week. Once again, Ryan, not Tiffany. She's really busy with your closing, so she'll be back next week though. But today I have a special guest. His name is John Eades, and John is someone that we work with personally here at the law firm, and he is a leadership coach amongst other things. And I thought no better person to have on the podcast when we're really trying to develop real estate agents to be better agents than somebody that knows how to develop executives and CEOs to be better executives and CEOs. So John, welcome to the Real Estate Show.
I'm excited to be here, Ryan.
Now, our podcast does, I like to say, well, in our industry, but you have over 1 million downloads on yours. You're a guy that knows how to do this.
Well, providing ideas and stories and examples to help people in their professional and personal journeys is a passion of mine because I love it. Mm-hmm. It's things that I like to consume. And so the fact that we're here today is a real thrill for me as well.
Yeah, no, you'll bring a ton of value. So, real estate agents, take notes, listen up. He's tailored this podcast to kind of you. I kind of filled him in of who you guys are and what you're needing. So John gives tons of speeches all the time. He goes across the country, talks in front of, hundreds and sometimes thousands of people. And so generally he has a really good roadmap of a presentation. So John, what kind of, I guess if you're going to give us a summary, what are you going to talk about with these guys?
Well, we need to talk about why I care about real estate so much and why I care about real estate agents specifically.
Yeah.
We've moved 3 or 4 times, done multiple deals. And the first house we were moving out of, we put it on the market. It was kind of backing up to Providence Road in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we get this really great offer. And I didn't think real estate agents mattered very much. Like anybody with a pulse could sell or not sell this house, not that big a deal. Long story short, we got an offer. We went under contract. It fell through. And the agent just simply didn't do enough, wasn't proactive enough, wasn't experienced enough. Didn't do her homework enough, like all the things. And it ended up costing us over $50,000 by the time we then sold it 6 months later. Mm-hmm. And it was like a light bulb moment for me that even jobs or roles that you don't think matter that much, the differentiation in skill in a role is essential.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if it's a real estate agent or a haircut, a doctor. Like we think they're all the same, but they're not. And that's one of the reasons why I'm very passionate about real estate agents specifically. And so we changed real estate agents. We bought and sold other houses. And now this latest house we bought and sold, we used an agent that I am obsessed with, not just because he got a deal done for us, but because he is a student of personal development and growth. And I want to be around people like that in my life. So it's one of the reasons that I hired my real estate agent is because he's into learning and development and growing himself.
Yeah, that was going to be my question hearing this story is what were you looking for when you were searching for a real estate agent? Because that's what these guys should be using in their marketing. So what is it that you looked for?
I specifically looked for someone with deep expertise and relationships where I was looking to buy a house. This is so underrated for real estate agents. We get so caught up in the technical skills,
can I use MLS?
Can I use MLS? And can I find the listing and all these things? But man, the relationship side of this business is so much more important than people even give it credit for. Mm-hmm. In markets like Charlotte or in hot markets, every market is different. I get that. But having relationships where when something's coming on the market, that agent can call the other agent and they know each other and they can get a deal done and you can get inside information on a property. Mm-hmm. I wish more real estate agents put more as much effort into their networking and building good relationships with other agents as they did to try to find a new prospect.
Yeah. And I think the key words you said there were in your specific area, your specific market. You're not looking for someone that thinks they know all of Charlotte or all of North Carolina. I wanted my neighborhood.
That's it. And this is where you can get pigeonholed a little bit in this space, because if you sell in Huntersville or you sell in Mooresville or you sell in, go to a neighborhood, Ballantyne, South Park. Okay, find one market, one agent outside or in a neighboring neighborhood that you can go build a relationship with, that you, today you're not selling in this market, but guess where you're going to want to be selling in a year? You're going to want to sell in the 28226 zip code instead of the 28210.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just think so small that I'll only ever sell houses in this particular market. You got to be thinking, not only where am I selling today, where do I want to sell in the future? And you got to start building in advance those relationships, because this is why. Relationships take time to build. We like relationships, or we all have them in our life, but relationships aren't meant to be optimized. They're not meant to be like, just like you do your daily planner once a day. That's not the way trust works. It's not the way really great relationships work. They take time. They take someone that cares about the other person enough to say, hey, tell me about how you got in this business and how it's going. And listening to the response and asking a curious question after to understand more about it, not to interject, oh, I sold a house just like X, Y, and Z in the past.
Yeah. No, I mean, everyone asks, like, what's the best thing for marketing? What should I do? I'm like, it's networking. You know, you can network on social media, you can network in person, but truly your this is a quote. I can't remember who said it, but it's your net worth is your network.
So true.
It's cliche, it's corny, but it's true. So you've got to be good at it.
But here's the thing, Ryan. It is so true. We do things every single day for our health. We do things every single day to try to grow our business. We do things every day to things with our kids. How many people do something, at least one thing a day, to grow their network? Not enough people. Even real estate agents, where their business relies on it, they don't do a good job.
And when you talk to real estate agents and they say, you ask them how they got started, what were some of their first things they did? It all came from referrals and building their network. Then they stop.
And then they stop. And time goes. And so you'll naturally grow a network just through time being in a particular area. But the intentionality and being proactive around it is so underrated.
So you're great at, giving specific tips and next steps. I got kind of two questions, and this is probably where most of our conversation is going to be is, one, do you have tips of how to start building that network? And two, when you're talking to people, you're a very good listener and you remember a lot of different things that people said. How can you have that conversation and really develop that conversation to be a better listener and a better person to network with that people gravitate towards?
The very best method I've ever come across to network is to be curious. Not to reach out to people to build your network. That will be the byproduct, but that's not actually why you're doing it. You're actually reaching out to someone because you're curious to get their insight or to understand or to learn something for them. And when you bring that kind of curiosity to life, it's attractive. People want to be around it. They want to share their insight. I'll give you a really specific example. Yesterday, I did a talk in Charlotte in the construction industry. Well, the talk was the talk. You've actually seen the talk. But to make it personalized and real to the construction professionals in that room, I reached out to 10, 12 people in my network. Some I knew really well, some I didn't know that well. And I just simply asked them a question. I said, hey, I have a talk coming up. in the construction industry. What are the top 3 challenges that you're seeing or changes going on in the construction industry?
Interesting.
I got the quality of answers I got back from people I barely knew, other than just through a LinkedIn connection or through someone I knew back in the day. I used it in the talk.
Right.
And then better than that, now every time I see those people, I can say thank you. And that's my point. People like sharing the things that they've learned, the insight that and they're willing to do it. Oftentimes, if I'm a real estate agent, I just have to ask. Hey, I got a potential customer that's just interested in your neighborhood. What do you think of your neighborhood? Even if you don't have someone currently interested in their neighborhood, everybody wants to talk about whether they like their neighborhood or not.
And you're building your knowledge, you're building a relationship. And so when that person may possibly have been thinking about selling their house and who should I use? This curious real estate agent that I had a great conversation with that didn't ask anything from me, that's who I want to use.
Oh, I got a better one than that. So you're talking to someone about their neighborhood. Hey, I'm really curious. I got people interested in this neighborhood, maybe even the future customer I want to bring. What's good? What's bad about it? What do you like? What do you not like? And then when you hear things they don't like about that neighborhood, we would call that a pain, a challenge, a struggle. You just store it. You put it in your notes. And then when you see a house come on the market that is going to solve that problem for them, that's going to improve their life in that area, then you send the text. Hey, I know we had this conversation 30 days ago, 2 months ago, and you mentioned you didn't like the way your driveway sat this direction. I doubt you're going to be interested in this house, but this one might be worth looking at. You will be shocked.
And I love the way you framed it. I doubt you're taking off, you're putting their guard down. You're probably not interested, but I want to help you out and provide something that you said, I had a struggle with. This might solve it, but you probably won't like it. And they're going to be like, this person cares about me.
And you do. It's genuine. It's not self-serving. I think that the intention behind it is so critical. Because you do meet a lot of people with low character and their intentions behind their action is actually evil at times. There's going to be 1 out of 10 that's the case. I choose to trust people. I choose to believe that people do good in life because that's what I attract. That's the way I like to live. And I think you attract it. Will you have someone that take advantage and has bad intentions? Yes, it's possible. Next play. Next person. And I think for an agent today, I would think very intentionally about growing their network every single day in small ways, just like that.
You're very good at your follow-up. You personally, I know you do because I've been attached to emails where after you've done a speech and you've then followed up and you do a very good job with that when they should actually be following up with you. What are some tips you can give to these agents that maybe a past client they can reach out to because that's your network? What's some things that you can do where it's not asking for sales, you're still trying to cultivate and keep that relationship?
There's an old tool that we used to use. It was called the draft evaluation plan.
Okay.
And the draft evaluation plan in a long B2B sales cycle, all it is in the follow-up email, you just highlight, these are the things I heard. This is your key objective. And then the third is, here are some next steps that if we can mutually agree upon, I can help you and you can help me get there. Called it a draft evaluation plan. It is one of the most powerful tools that you can use because what it's showing a customer, a prospective buyer, you listened enough and had enough attention to detail to say, here are our next steps. Here are some key things I see in the future. And here's when I plan on doing them by. It just raises the level of accountability in the relationship. It shows that you're the kind of person that cares about the details because look, how you do everything is how you do everything. And the moment I see someone that doesn't care about the details, it shows a lot to me about where their habits are, where their mindset is, the things that they really care about. And it shows a level of lacking professionalism. Mm-hmm. No one wants to work with someone that lacks professionalism. I don't care how old the buyer is. I don't care how young they are. It doesn't matter. Professionalism matters today way more than people give it credit for. Mm-hmm. People want to work with someone that has incredible communication skills. People want to work with someone that has amazing habits, self-discipline in their life. People want to work with people that have really great intelligence, not just IQ, but also EQ, their emotional intelligence. And lastly, people want to work with someone that looks the part, that wakes up ready to go. It might be that their style might be different than them from a dress perspective, but they care enough to get it done every day for themselves. And I think more agents need to put those 4 things into practice around their professionalism.
Yeah. And I mean, I know agents do a lot. You know, they generally get taken advantage of. They get walked on by certain buyers, but you can mitigate that with your upfront professionalism. And it almost puts the clients or your clients it almost puts them in line. Like, this is how we do things. We're professional around here. And they're probably going to fall in line a little more than if they weren't.
There is such great power as a real estate agent or any agent, knowing that you can walk away. We have a mindset problem in the real estate industry with agents. They put their buyers on this pedestal and they put themselves down here. Brian, that's not the way. Power buys from power. Mm-hmm. Agents are not down here and buyers aren't up here. Sellers aren't up here, and it's like this. It has to be this,
right?
Or else you do get walked over. Mm-hmm. And I can assure you that the very best real estate agents in the world are not like this. In fact, they're probably more like this. Mm-hmm. Because they think of themselves at a higher place. Not that they're better than their buyer, or not that their buyer doesn't matter, but that they have to be here to meet the needs of their buyer.
Right.
And that is such a critical, it starts in the mind. Mm-hmm. It really does. Yeah. You asked about development. So let's go there.
Yeah.
What we found in our work helping leaders and executives at all different levels is that people go through different levels of their development. This goes to not just this, but it can go to real estate agents as well. Mm-hmm. So the first phase or level that an agent's going to go through is the preparation phase.
Right.
The preparation phase is when I just need to understand what I need to know, what I need to focus on. It's like anything. Every great marriage has a marriage prep. People go to college to prepare for a job. Everything great in the world has a preparation phase.
Right.
Same is true with a real estate agent.
And this is probably, studying for your exam and passing the exam and going under the wing of somebody that knows what they're doing.
Exactly. All the things that you just have to do to prepare to be a real estate agent.
Right.
That's number one. The second phase is the exhilaration phase. This is when you start to fall in love with being a real estate agent. It's exciting. You like looking at houses. You like meeting new buyers. It's like the honeymoon phase in a marriage or in a relationship. It's like it can't go wrong.
Yeah, everything's great.
Everything's great. Even the things you don't do well, you like because it's new, it's exciting. You get to go in a lot of houses and you get to look at.
Buyer wants to see 10 houses in a weekend. Yes,
no problem. We'll just keep lining them up. Okay, that's the exhilaration phase. It's a really critical phase because not every agent gets to this phase. They don't fall in love with it. If you don't fall in love with what you do, if you're not really passionate about what you do, you're never going to meet your potential anyways. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people, they never get to this phase and they keep doing it anyways because the money was good. Mm-hmm. They're never going to be a great agent. They don't love it enough. They don't fall in love with it. It's like, to use a sports example for a kid, it's the junior golfer that they just want to go to the golf course because they just love it. The parent doesn't have to ask them. It's the kid that just wants to play every baseball tournament because he's obsessed with the game of baseball.
Yep.
Same thing with a real estate agent. So level 2 is exhilaration. Level 3, this is where you get to the production phase. So when you start to produce, you start to get really good at what you do. Mm-hmm. You make good money. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of clients. You produce. You're looked at as a producer. Your agent in charge looks at you as a producer.
Yeah.
You get good.
Yep. And this is where I would say, I mean, the statistics are out there. 87% of real estate agents fail. So, everybody is trying to get to this production phase in general. Like they're usually in the second phase trying to get to the third.
It's a big step to get to the production phase. Because not only can you provide for your family in a 1099 eat what you kill world, but you also start to build this confidence about yourself that I'm good enough to do this. That I have a belief that comes from within, that's steeped in the work, that I've put in the hours. I've built the network. I have the expertise.
It's not that false confidence of, I know what I'm doing. It's like, no, I truly know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still getting better, but I can produce.
Right.
I can really produce. And I would say it's a real exciting phase to be in. Mm-hmm. But then you get to phase 4. And this is the calibration phase. This is when you're not going to make big leaps anymore. You've made your big leaps. You're producing. The difference is now really small, Ryan. It's like, to use a weightlifting example, I could do 225 10 times. I'm not going to do it 20 times. Right. I'm going to do it 11. Yeah. I'm going from 10 to 11. And that is a big leap to make, to go from 10 to 11. You've already the big leaps are gone. Yeah. This is the 1% better, Atomic Habits, James Clear. How can I get a little bit better today than I was yesterday?
I mean, I love that you mentioned it, because I just stole James Clear's newsletter model to model our newsletter after, because it's so good.
It's so good. It's beautiful. But this is the calibrate. This is when a lot of people either give up or they just get stagnant.
Why would you say someone gives up when they're producing? They're doing well. What is that?
They get satisfied. They get satisfied with how much they did, what customers they have. It just becomes like they get on the roller coaster a little bit. They get a little complacent. They figured out how much work it's actually going to take to get a little bit better or to grow my practice by X number. Mm-hmm. And they're like,
that's too hard.
I've already made pretty good money. I'm already doing pretty good. You know, I'm just going to kind of status quo it. And some people kind of end here. And I would say the best in the world at whatever they do stick in this calibration phase for a long time, because again, they fall in love with getting a little bit better today than they were yesterday. It's an exhilarating. When you're in growth mode like this and you're trying to get better, it's like playing Monopoly or something. It's fun because you're trying to figure it out, but not everybody falls in love with the pain that comes from trying to get a little bit better. And I think of like professional golfers, like a Tiger Woods or a Jordan Spieth. They actually get worse sometimes in order to get better because they're just trying to get this much better, and they can't just get this much better doing exactly the same thing they were doing before. They have to like rebuild their golf swing.
Yeah. John was a collegiate golfer and, basically professional if you want to, throw it out there.
I can still get it done.
Yeah, get it done. I've seen some of John's golf scores. He's much better than I am.
But I use this example. And then the last phase is what I consider to be the champion phase. And this, I think very few people get to this phase. Actually, it's the phase of a career where you do it to help other people in a way. It's like
you've accomplished everything.
You're still accomplishing. You still like doing it, but it's more about helping that next agent that you see something in them that you saw in yourself, and you want to help them achieve that you've achieved or beyond you.
So this is what I would consider, people that are listening that knew Ben Thomas. That's where Ben Thomas was to Tiffany.
Exactly right. He's still going to produce because he's really good at what he does, and he wakes up producing. He's already built the network. He's built the skills, but it becomes more about helping other people get what they want and achieve their dreams than you achieving yours anymore.
Yep.
And I love this phase because you teach a lot. You see other people achieve things and you're like, it's not you're doing, but boy, it feels like it was your doing. And gosh, it's just a beautiful place to be, to see people accomplish things that they didn't think they could accomplish.
Yeah. What do you people that are trying to make their way through the phases, what are some of the things that you see sticking points as to why they don't get to that level? Because not many people do. I mean, let's be honest. Like what is, some key characteristics that make people stop from growing and moving forward?
They have poor habits. And not just habits around their health or their wellness or their sleep or drinking enough water. Those are all really key habits. The biggest habit is they don't build the habit of development. They stop reading. They stop listening. They stop taking notes. They stop looking for really small lessons that they can learn and then apply in their life. Mm-hmm. They're making money. They're buying things that they need. They got things going on with their kids at school and their after school activities. And you got your supper clubs with friends and you do your dinners and and all that stuff's great. I'm not knocking any of it. But if you don't have the habit of growth and development, if you don't have 20 minutes a day, I call that the growth 20. If you don't dedicate at least 20 minutes of your day to learn and grow and develop, you're missing the boat. You're going to get worse because growth and development is this funny thing. You don't stay the same.
Right.
You either get better or you get worse.
Yeah.
So you have to make a decision at this point. Your skills are not going to remain the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was Tiff that, brought it up to me when she was in corporate world, and she was like, our mantra is if we're not growing, we're dying. And, that's business terms, but it's also personal terms. If you're not growing as a person, you hear it all the time. Lawyers that retire and truly stop generally don't live much longer. And so they need to have that growth and constant stimulation all the time. And then when they're done, if you're just done, you're done. You're done.
You're done. Literally done. And I think what's so great about this is when you cultivate this habit of growth 20 and you're really curious and you're going to conferences and you're reading books and then what you can't do anything but start to share it. Mm-hmm. You can't do anything but tell your clients about it. Oh my gosh, I just read this book. You should read it. Oh, I just bought you a copy of this book. You should read it. I've just forwarded in this podcast. What you can't keep it inside. It feels like you're cheating, or stealing. And when you start sharing things, quality in, quality out. Yeah. If you just sit there and watch Netflix every night, guess what's going to come out? A bunch of garbage the other way. But when you put really good things in, when you're reading good books, when you're listening to good podcasts, when you're going to good conferences, when you surround yourself around good people, you start to share the wisdom coming the other way. And guess who wants to work with people like that?
Other people like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, tons of really, really powerful information for real estate agents. And I think, what I hear from this is it's not hard. I'm not saying that it's you're telling them to do 400, 500,000 different things. It's only a few small steps that's going to help them continue growth, make change, build the network, be able to give back to other agents that they see coming up just like they did and shorten their learning gap. Like just a few things is going to help them live a really, just rewarding life.
It's so true. Just because it's easy to say out loud doesn't mean it's easy to live out and practice.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's an important thing to note. And all big change starts small. You might be really far when I went through those 5 stages of like, oh my gosh, I might never get to level 5. Mm-hmm. I might never get to level 4. I distinctly remember as a young professional, there was a guy in our office and everything he said, like rolled off his tongue. And I was like, how do you know that much stuff? And boy, come 20 years later, you're like, oh my gosh, I can remember so many things and just, it rolls off my tongue now. Yeah. But the only way you get there is if you put in the work for 20 years.
Yeah. Lots of practice.
20 minutes a day. I'm not asking for 4 hours of your day on development. I'm asking for 20 minutes in your commute. Once you drop your kids off from school on the way to the office. I'm not asking for a lot, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to be intentional about your development.
I'm a full-on believer of that. I mean, I don't listen to the radio, haven't listened to the radio in years. I am podcast or audiobook, and my podcasts are all development.
It's amazing.
And it's moved me so much further in all of my business stuff.
The last thing I want to say here is people want to work with smart people. They do. Mm-hmm. And real estate agents come from all different walks of life, with all different educational backgrounds, with all different backgrounds growing up from what they were exposed to as young adults or as kids. Some work in big markets, some work in small markets. But the one consistency is you want your real estate agent to be wise and smart and with it. Mm-hmm. And the agent that just relied on being pretty or being handsome, the real estate agent that just relied on knowing a lot of people in one little network, but they never really put a lot of work into their craft about how to negotiate at when there's 10 buyers on the line and I got to advise a really difficult client into should they accept this or should they not? Mm-hmm. How much due diligence should you put down versus not? I mean, you can give a generic answer. Anybody can. But boy, I want to have the agent that's like, John, you got to write a 6-figure due diligence check here if you want to win. Yeah. And I'm like, you've lost your mind. And he goes, do you want to win the property? And I said, yes, I do. He goes, okay, that's what it's going to take. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, we talked to the seller years later. And I said, what was the difference? Why did you pick us over the other 10 offers? He goes, the due diligence money. And I'm like, that's why I had a good agent.
Yep.
Because he knew something that I didn't.
Right.
And he had put in the work and he had the experience and he was a growth and development guy. He could have been wrong, but I'd rather go down swinging with someone that is going to give me really good insight and intelligence for someone that's just giving me an opinion.
Yeah. No, it's amazing when you hear that, John. Tons of information. I've already chalked up a couple ideas from our conversation here. Realtors that want to kind of follow you. You've written a book before. You know, we're in the presence of an author, people. Yeah. So shout out the book, and then where do you want them to follow? So I got 2 things: Building the Best, which is a book. We have a podcast called the John Eades Podcast. But I got a new project. Yeah. I don't know if I know this one. You don't. We keep hearing over and over again that from leaders and executives struggling with time management. I just really stink at time management. I don't have enough time in the day. And as someone with ADD, I do as well. So I heard it 100 times, 200 times on coaching calls. And I said, I'm going to do something about it. And we did some research and we just came out with a new tool called the 64-Day Excellence Planner. Okay. And it is designed specifically to use per quarter, 6 days a week. And you plan your day out with an inspirational quote, your daily non-negotiables or 3 things, keeping your 3 or 4 key priorities for that particular month in front of you and lining up what decisions you need to make and when you need to make them. And I've personally been using this tool myself, Ryan, for the last month. And I'm like, I'm on steroids. Super John now. I'm not taking Adderall. I'm not taking anything, but man, it's like most leaders don't have a talent problem. They have a focus problem. I had a focus problem. Yeah. With my ADD, when I get into it, I'm great. But when I look at that thing every single day and I map out before my day starts, these are the things that are non-negotiable that are going to get done. Here are my priorities to achieve the goals I want to achieve. And I execute against that every single day. I am amazed at what I can get done. I love it. Where can they get that?
It's not out yet. It's coming. Yeah, it'll be out probably by the time this comes out. We'll send a link to it. We're really excited about the 64-day excellence planner.
Yeah, awesome. Well, John, we appreciate you coming in. Real estate agents, take some notes. Listen, this guy is great at what he does, and he gave you some really, really beneficial steps for you to take to kind of move yourself in the career. We appreciate you guys listening.